Private Lender Podcast, episode 48.
The Private Lender Podcast quote of the day comes to us from Benjamin Franklin, who said, "Money never made a man happy yet, nor will it. The more the man has, the more he wants. Instead of filling a vacuum, it makes one."
This is the Private Lender Podcast, the show that shares practical advice and know-how for new and seasoned lenders. From private mortgages on single-family houses to joint ventures on commercial projects and beyond. Discover details about investment vehicles that you won't find at your local bank or online broker. Listen and learn from private lenders and real estate investors, as well as from professionals and entrepreneurs, as they share the details, strategies, and the insight that allows for successful and prosperous lending. Now, get ready to increase your ROI. Here's your host, Keith Baker.
What's up? I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving holiday. And to those of you listening outside of the United States, well, I hope you enjoyed last Thursday. All are welcome here at the Private Lender Podcast, the only podcast dedicated to creating successful private lenders and an alternative economy where people just like you and me are able to invest without banks or Wall Street brokers. My name is Keith Baker, and you're listening to episode number 48. Today I'm going to tease you just a little, as I have a small announcement I'd like to make about the Private Lender Academy, which is set to go live in January, goodness, a few weeks. And this episode will be part 2 of the Foreclosure Journal, where I'm going to give you updates on what's going on in the foreclosure process that I have on a house out in Port Arthur. But before we get into all of that, let's go ahead and thank our sponsor. This episode of the Private Lender Podcast is proudly sponsored by CountyTaxSaleApp.org. With CountyTaxSaleApp.org, you get a very powerful lead generation tool in the palm of your hand, on your laptop, desktop, or any device you choose. Get real-time alerts for between 300 and 600 properties every month that are coming up for the foreclosure auction in Harris County, Texas, the third largest county in the United States. With its intuitive design and interface, the County Tax Sale app lets you search all properties with highly motivated sellers that are coming up for foreclosure auction. Simply search the map and click on a property to learn important details about that property, such as the address, owner's contact info, minimum bid, and a street view photo. You can save properties to your favorites and contact the sellers directly and receive email and text alerts if one of your favorite properties is redeemed or canceled prior to the auction. You can even listen to Sammy Gupta on episode 28 of this podcast as he discusses all the powerful features and benefits of CountyTaxSaleApp.org. For more information, go to the Private Lender Podcast sponsor page, the show notes page for this episode, or to CountyTaxSaleApp.org. That's CountyTaxSaleApp.org. Okay, the bills have been paid, and I'd like to thank Sammy Gupta and CountyTaxSaleApp.org for their continued sponsorship of this great experiment that's called the Private Lender Podcast. And I'd also like to give a shout out and thank you to Landon, Rothstein, and Ray Sasser over at 713 RIA for their continued support as well. Okay, so let's get to the announcements. Unfortunately, I'm running behind schedule. That's the announcement. I know, big shock, right? Ooh, boo. So the Private Lender Academy does not look like it's going to be ready to launch in January. I'm still busting my tail to make it happen, but I realized that I needed to do a little more research, and so I've been reaching out to you, the listener, and those who have signed up, provided me your email address. By now, you should have received at least one email from me, and I don't email very much. I hate unnecessary emailing, but I am asking for your help and input to help me shape and create Private Lender Academy. So I want to take my time and deliver a good product. I don't want to just rush something out just because I put a flag in the sand and said I'll do it by January. So that's the announcement, and please stay tuned. You can go to privatelenderacademy.com, of course, and get on the list so that you'll be alerted and informed when everything starts to actually roll out. So anyway, okay, that's the grand announcement. Sorry if you actually thought it was something big and important or sexy. But this is going to be part 2 of the Foreclosure Journal. So it's been a little while. I'm going to bring everybody up to speed, kind of where we're at. If you're following along, this isn't quite in real time, but it's enough in real time that you'll notice that several weeks have gone by since I've given any updates and kind of, what's happening. Well, on this particular house, we sold it with a first position lien for the purchase price. Basically, we're owner financing it or seller financing it to the end buyer. And then he asked if we could roll over his closing costs into the note. And I wish I could remember why we didn't do it all in one, but we did a first lien and a second lien. And I think the title company wanted us to do it that way to keep things cleaner. Well, lo and behold, when we go to the attorney to get the letter of default and the intent to accelerate the loan, I cannot find, my partner Landon cannot find an executed copy of the second lien and deed of trust. So after going back and forth, first we went to the title company. However, our title agent was no longer, our escrow agent was no longer at the title company where we closed. And in fact, they pretty much shut down after that. So we were unable to get the second lien. So I just liaised with the attorney and asked if we could just foreclose on the first lien. It's the bigger one anyway. And it still, could get the buyer out and get the property back over into our hands. So that's what we did. And we've also started to advertise the house again for seller financing. And lo and behold, the buyer, I think he got the hint, because now after not paying anything for almost a year, all of a sudden he says he has money and he's returning phone calls. So this is a positive thing, because my goal isn't to foreclose on people and resell the house, even though that is an option to me and my partner. I really don't want to do that. I don't want to be predatory. So I'd rather have somebody stay in the property. So we've said that we're willing to negotiate what's owed if he can come up with a substantial chunk of money. He said he could. The arrears are, let's call it $6,000 right now. That includes the county taxes, the property taxes that have not been paid, and late payments and everything that's still owed us in the first and second liens. So great. Okay. Well, we gave payment instructions and said, look, until we receive monies, we're not going to stop the foreclosure process. And that's the beautiful thing about, once you start foreclosure, you can stop at any time. You can stop at the steps of the county courthouse, so to speak, up until that moment. You can cancel it. So that's our plan of action right now, is we're going to give the 21 days. The letter has gone out, return receipt, signed return receipt, also regular mail. Actually, our attorney had process served. So there was a signature. We know the borrower got the letter to accelerate notice of default. And as of right now, we're about ready to go to the first Tuesday in December, which is when all Texas property auctions occur. So we're all lined up. If he can pay, great. We're more than happy. If he can come up with even half of it, we're willing to extend an olive branch and modify the loan for him and allow him to stay. That's, I think, the decent thing to do. However, if things don't work out, then we do have the remedies available to us, and that remedy is foreclosure. And we will continue to go through with it. So it is what it is. And I used to wrestle with this kind of stuff, but at the end of the day, we held up our end of the contract. The other side didn't. So we're going to do what the contract allows. And we're going to go get the house and try to go resell it with owner finance again. First, we're going to try and see if we can't get this guy turned around. And I think that brings us up to speed where we're at. We're still in a holding pattern. We're going to go to the foreclosure auction in December, just a few days, I guess next week by the time this comes out. So we'll let you know how it goes, or I'll let you know how it goes. So, all right, that's going to do it. That's going to be a pretty short episode for today. I'd like to ask you to please continue to email your questions to me at keith@privatelenderpodcast.com. And please rate and review. It helps people just like you find this podcast, spreads the word. It gets word of mouth is the best advertising. So if you could, please, I'd greatly, greatly appreciate it. And promote yourself, promote your business in there. I'll read it off on the air. If I can help you in any way possible, I'd like to be able to. And if reading something that you put on you scratch my back, I scratch yours. I love that. Right? Little simpatico. Continue to spread the word, please. Connect with me on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Bigger Pockets, or as always, privatelenderpodcast.com. And this week, I want to say thank you to a listener who left a rating and review. And I know I'm not going to say this correct, but the name is Sabanankle. They left a rating and review. Said the title was fantastic. Expert advice delivered in an entertaining and easy to understand format. Keep up the great work, Keith. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. Please go over to privatelenderacademy.com, sign up for alerts, and get on the waiting list. Unfortunately, as you know now, everyone's going to have to wait a little while longer. But it'll come out. We'll get it there. And I thank everyone who's been providing their input and their support. And email me. What would you like to see? What type of training would you like to have? I'm looking for beta testers. I'm more than willing to share training for your input and your time to help me create a really, really good course or membership site or whatever it's going to be. Really, really appreciate your input. And I want to thank everybody again. Say thank you again. And I wish everybody happy and prosperous lending and investing. I'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Private Lender Podcast with your host, Keith Baker. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit privatelenderpodcast.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, please rate and review, and we'll catch you next time.